Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Marina here again. You all, I'm using this beautiful nature. Let's give a shout out to nature. Nature. I'm using this beautiful nature backdrop to film some of these segments where I'm talking about the backstory to my book, If I Decide to Fly, Collected Poems of Affirmation and Celebration. Sitting outside, it's just gorgeous out here, so I figured, when I'm filming this, I might as well use the beautiful backdrop of nature, and she is just showing off, looking so beautiful, I must say, just dressed up for the occasion. This is part four, yeah, part four, part four, part four. So in part three, I went inside of the book. But one of the things I forgot to mention when I was on the outside of the book was I wanted to talk about the color. I was very intentional about the color. I wanted blue because I felt like it represented the sky. If we're talking about flying, I was very intentional about the colors that Angela used in the book. So I did want to talk about that. I forgot to mention that part of it. So yeah, very intentional about the color of my book. As you can see, it's a high quality book. It could be on the shelf of any library, very high quality. Yeah, okay, so last time I left off at the message to my brothers. This message to my brothers changed numerous times. As I was writing this, I wanted to say something. I was trying to say something that could articulate the honor of penning poetry for Nubian men. I didn't and I still don't take that honor lightly. And so my message to my brothers, I wanted to be specific, but yet broad. Simple, and yet complex. And so I'm going to share the message that I wrote to my brothers. I said, I celebrate what has not been celebrated openly enough. Your spirit, fortitude, endurance, resilience, beauty, and a host of other positive traits that have gone unnoticed far too long. I believe that you are the root and foundation, after God, of the Black family and community. I believe we must rebuild our families with you at the helm. And if we do not, we will continue to wander in the wilderness of disharmony and self-destruction. Wrote this back in I would say about 2000. I believe we have the capacity at any hour, any moment, any second to change the course of our present plight. The solution lies in prayer, faith, commitment, and collective activism towards a common goal. I believe that once you begin the process, if you have not done so already, of loving, affirming, and celebrating yourselves, our families, communities, and the world, we will reap the results. It is a collective effort. No one arrives until we all arrive. We are individually responsible for the prosperity or the destruction for us as a people. So my message to you, my brother, is that of life, self-affirmation, renewal, spirituality, hope, and acceptance. I celebrate you. I love you. I uplift you. I commend you. I praise you. And I honor you. Ashe. So I want to talk a little bit about this. This book has taken me so many places. I have actually been in maximum security prisons. I have been in city facilities, where the holding cells for both men and women, not just men. I have been in facilities where women were in prison, and that experience was, oh man, stories for another day on that one. That experience was heartbreaking on so many levels. I've been to schools. I've been to rehab centers, detention centers, you name it. I've done it. This book has taken me so many places. And one of the things that always baffles me is when somebody will come up to me and they would say, and I don't get this as interesting, I don't get this as often now as I did when I first started this. There were some people that were on the cutting edge. Jill Scott, of course, with her song. What's the other one? He is my king. He is my Angie Stone. Yes, he's my father. Yes, he's my son. I can talk to him. This was long before all of that. And I think there was a movement happening, where we started understanding that it was okay to celebrate each other, flaws and all. But one of the things that used to baffle me is when somebody would come up to me and tell me that they disagreed with my perspective, that they didn't think black men were ready to be celebrated, and that they didn't feel that this was appropriate because there were so many black men that weren't taking care of their families. There were so many black men who were disrespecting black women and themselves. There were so many black men who were imprisoned, standing on street corners. They would give me a laundry list of reasons why they felt like this was not appropriate, that there were so many black men that were molesting and doing inappropriate things to children, and beating wives, domestic violence. And, the list would go on and on and on and on. And I would stand there and I would listen. And they would say, so how are you going to celebrate all black men when all black men ain't doing what they supposed to be doing, and blah, 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 blah. And I only had one answer for them. And my answer was, first and foremost, what about those who are? Do they get lumped in? What about those that are? Are you saying that no black man needs to be or deserves to be celebrated? Are you saying that because there are some that in your opinion are unworthy, that those that are worthy should not be celebrated? Second thought. Well, I know I said one thing, but this was all encompassing. Who am I to judge? Ever by the grace of God go I. And lastly, it's an opportunity to do something different. It's an opportunity to see yourself in a different light, to maybe see that these are things that you have done in the past, but maybe you never thought that you could fly. Or maybe you never thought that something created you in the image that you could live in that image without the projection of how somebody else saw you. So what I was trying to explain to those who would come to me, and I so understood that position, because there was a time when I could have held that position. There was a time when I could have believed, black men ain't, well, I'm not gonna say it like that because I've never generalized, but some of the black men that I chose were a reflection of those men that I felt weren't deserving. And so there was a time when I could have had that very same perspective that some of the sisters had, and so I respect it. But what I want you to understand is, what I would say to them is that this is an opportunity for people to see a different perspective, men and women. not just for black men to see themselves, but for us as black women to see our men from a different perspective. And so I know I went on and on and on, but I really wanted to impress that, because that used to happen to me a lot. And it would, sometimes it was very discouraging, because I'm like, wait a minute, should I be doing this? Should I be celebrating black men? I'm here in this prison, and, some of these men have done some shit that's really, some stuff, that was so inappropriate, and, should I be doing this? But, this is the gift that was given to me, and so I'm going to share it as authentically as I know how, as authentically as it was given to me. So, that's how I reconcile that. But I do have to say, I don't get that perspective as much now, and I think it's because that wave of us loving ourselves and celebrating ourselves caught up with this. And so more of us are in that mindset. We have these shows called Black Love on TV, and these opportunities for us to really celebrate and love on each other. So I think that has caused the shift in why I don't hear that as much, although I still hear it. But for me, if it ain't in the positive lane, I stay in my lane. I try to drive down that positive lane, and if somebody wants to get over there in that negative lane, I'm gonna stay right here. I have no opinion, no thoughts about it. I'm gonna do that. So, first poem I would like to share is Brother to Brother. Brother to Brother. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that in my next video. I'm going to share Brother to Brother, because Brother to Brother has a really deep history behind how this poem came through me, and the perspective that it came from. And as I continue to recite this poem, a lot of these poems I can recite off the dome. I don't know if I can do it now, because I haven't done them in a while. Hunk of Black Man comes back to me like that. But I used to recite my poetry. I wouldn't read it all out of the book. And that was because when I shared my poetry with my audience, I wanted it to be an interactive. I wanted it to be in an interactive process. Brother to brother, can I talk to you? My heart is aching and I don't know what to do. I kind of get the feeling people just don't understand. I wanted to be here with my audience. So if I was doing this, brother to brother, can I talk to you? I lose something. For me, I'm talking about for me. I ain't talking about nobody else. Y'all come for me, because I can handle me. But I'm talking about for me, I wanted to be there. I wanted to be able to say, when I'm sharing my poetry, brother to brother, can I talk to you? My heart is aching and I don't know what to do. I kind of get the feeling people just don't understand how hard it really is to be a black. I wanted to be there. Yeah. So I'm gonna share more of that in my next video. Stay tuned.